So, here we are in Luke chapter 7, where two people are commended for their faith. Number one, a Roman officer, and number two, a sinful woman. Some people think faith is something mysterious and magical to be kind of grasped at. But the real meaning of the word faith is just placing your trust in someone or something. But to do what exactly? Well, that's what I'm going to try and explain. The sinful woman, she breaks open an expensive bottle of perfume and she washes Jesus' feet with it. Now she's doing this to show her appreciation to Jesus for cancelling a great debt. But what kind of debt? Well, the key to understanding this is in the story Jesus tells us in verse 41 of a manager who cancels two people's debts. Now, in a very simple way, we can think of our life a bit like a bank account. Usually with a bank account you put money in and then you can spend that money. But an interesting thing happens with some accounts when you get to zero. They let you keep spending. Only now you're not spending your own money, but you're running up a debt with the bank, which at some point they're going to ask you to repay. And if you haven't got any money to pay off your debt, well, then there's trouble. Jesus is teaching that as we go through life, we accumulate something called a sin debt. That is, we build up sin debt every time we think and every time we act in a way towards God that is rebellious. Now, this record of sin debt is owed to God Himself because it's God's law that we're breaking. And the penalty for our sin is eternal death. That is separation from God's goodness for all eternity. Now, some people believe that we can cancel our own sin debt with good acts. But the Bible writer, the Old Testament writer Isaiah, makes a startling statement. These good acts that we do, they're worthless. They're like filthy rags, and we cannot do anything of enough value to clear our own debt. Well, in the story in verse 41, Jesus likens God to a manager who cancels the debt of two people who owe him money. Jesus is using this parable to teach us something incredibly important. There is a way that our sin debt can be cancelled. By first accepting we have sin on our account, and second, by placing our trust in Jesus and only Jesus to clear that debt. You know, on the cross, Jesus shouted, "It is finished," because He had finished making a payment big enough to pay off the sin debt of every person in the world. Now, this payment gets paid into your account the moment you place your trust in Him, agreeing that all of this is true. And then your debt is paid in full. You know, and then God declares your sin debt cancelled. But the goodness of God doesn't stop there. Not only does He pay our sin debt through His death on the cross, but He also credits our account with His own righteousness. This means that before God, you will be accepted, just like the Roman officer and just like the woman at Jesus' feet was. You'll be saved and you'll have peace with God.